Guys, these back exercise mistakes are absolutely killing your gains. Stop doing them. What is up? It's your boy John SHREVE, IFBB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to another exercise tutorial. This time, guys, we're going over some back exercise mistakes that you guys are consistently doing that are halting your gains. So guys, without further ado, let's get into it. So keep your eyes glued to the screen and your ears glued to the speakers, and let's learn some shit. Okay, guys, when it comes to back exercise mistakes, the pull-up is, there's a slight mistakes that are made all the time. And guys, I'm always gonna remind you of the pie chart. I wanna make sure that the majority of the pie chart is taken up by the muscle that is being targeted. In this case, lats. Now, I wanna make things very, very clear. Regardless if we're doing a mid-wide straight bar or a little bit of a bent bar pull down, or we're doing supinated, right? The difference being the shoulders adducting or the shoulders being in front extending, right? The only difference would be bicep help or how much of the traps, rhomboids, and rear delts might be involved. When it comes down to it, regardless if you're here or here, the lats are being used no matter what. So we're not gonna bias lower lats, upper lats, side lats, whatever lats. When we're here doing a pull down, the lats are being engaged. If we use the same bar and I go in underhand grip, the lats are being engaged. Don't overcomplicate things. If you're pulling yourself up in any orientation, the lats are going to be engaged. The only difference is if I'm supinated, I'm gonna get a lot more bicep help. Think about doing a supinated curl. When I'm doing anything pulling down with my arms in this orientation, meaning shoulder extension, my traps or my scapulas will probably retract. So I'm getting that involved as well too. Or if I'm doing a neutral grip, I'm getting a lot more forearm and bicep. Think of a hammer curl. Or if I'm doing it pronated, think of forearm and not that much bicep. And that's the biggest difference when it comes to hand positionings when you're doing any type of pull down, pull up exercise. So don't overcomplicate things at all. If you want to work your lats, you're working your lats, you're working your lats, you're working your lats, period. Now, here's how we can make this exercise that much more optimal, because when people do this exercise, they say that at the top of the lift, that we're not getting much of a stretch. And the reason why is because you're not putting yourself in the right position. So this is how we get a stretch at the top of the lift with this exercise using multiple variations or accessories for handles. Now, number one, it's getting into this machine that's gonna give us tension right from the get-go. Again, creating tension starts from floor to core. So if I'm here, I'm gonna already have my pad basically down where I need it to be. I'm gonna swing myself in and I'm gonna pull myself in so that my knees are right underneath the thigh pad. Now, from here, I wanna make sure that I'm not so far underneath this, so when I pull, I'm gonna have to do this to pull back. I wanna have my feet or my thighs right at the edge, and then creating more leverage, what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually gonna push my toes in the floor even more to keep myself nice and tight to the ground so my butt doesn't come off the bench. Now from here, my chest is gonna go up. I'm gonna pull my chest naturally up. See what happens? You see my shoulders how they're elevated and my traps are basically in my ear? I want to bend the bar slightly. So bending it this way, lats engaged. Now I'm gonna pull my chest to the ceiling, which is gonna naturally depress my shoulders. Doing this is causing tension already. You can see how the weight already starts to come up. And you can see on my lats that there's tension. Can you see the difference? You definitely can, right? So from here, at the top of this lift, there's tension on my lats. There's no more tension here. There's tension here. So when someone says that at the top of the lift of a pull-up or a pull-down, there's not much tension, that's because you have disengaged the muscle. I want the muscles to stay engaged by keeping my chest up. I'm not arching my back. I'm literally taking it in my chest. If there's a hook on my chest and I'm trying to get pulled from the top of my chest, my sternum, pulling myself up. Now my lats are engaged. So now when I do the actual exercise and pulling down, there's tension. And then at the top of the lift, there's tension. Now I want to do the exact same thing if I'm using a different handle. Let's just say I don't have all the fancy gear and I want to use the easy bar. Almost like I'm doing a easy bar curl, easier on my wrists, easier supination wise. Now from here, my shoulders are going to be in that shoulder extension orientation, meaning from here, I'm probably going to get a little bit more scapular retraction at the end. So again, same fundamentals as using the other bar. Coming in, swinging myself in. Now again, Here's my shoulders up, and I'm pulling my chest up. Now I'm engaged again. See the difference? That little like curve underneath my armpit you see on my lat from here to here. Now from here, pulling down, I'm engaged, and on the way up, there's still tension here. This is tension at the top of the lift, where there's still a stretch on my lats. This is not stretched, this is stretched. Do the same thing if I switch up and say I do have those cool fancy handles like other gyms do. Pulling myself in, tension from floor to core, tight, and again, my chest comes up and I'm depressing my shoulders right away, and there's tension on my lats from the top into the bottom, all the way through, and there's tension, and I'm engaging my core, not sucking it in. I'm tensing my core, keep my back fairly neutral, and getting a nice stretch at the top, not allowing my arms to do this. You want this the entire time. And that's why I'm shirtless, so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay guys, so when it comes to pull-ups, those of you who can actually do bodyweight pull-ups, great. And those who can't, we're gonna use the rubber bands to help out with you doing your pull-up. Now, the same rules are gonna apply. When it comes to doing a proper pull-up, and this is, I see this all the time, and I just explained this when it comes to the pull downs. We still wanna make sure that our shoulders are still depressed at the top of the lift. Having said that, we also wanna make sure that our body isn't doing a bunch of unnecessary swaying, right? The fastest point from A to B is a straight line. So if the straight line is going up and down, that's the most optimal point of getting to the top position and down. But if your body is doing this, you're basically gonna pull like this, which is making unnecessary movements and energy that's gonna drain you before you can actually do your full amount of pull-ups that you could probably do without swaying. Okay, so regardless if you're here, 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 or here, again, I've explained this in terms of it's exact same. When it comes to pull downs, exact same here in terms of like bicep help, scapula retraction. But what I wanna explain is when we're here, if you're strong enough, we wanna make sure that right now I'm hanging. And yes, my lats are not engaged because I'm not engaged, but I wanna make sure that I keep my chest up. So I'm gonna bring my chest up. And you can see how my lats get engaged right away. That's where I wanna start. So when I'm hanging and then I'm pulling, my lats are engaged the entire time. This is where I finish. I don't finish like this. This means I'm not engaged. This is engaged. Now for me, I'm strong and more advanced, so I can control myself more here. And if you're not strong enough, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a band. We're gonna put both feet in the band so we can keep our body straight. So when we're up, so when we're in, we wanna make sure we keep our feet straight, pushing down. Our body's gonna be strictly straight like a plank, and then shoulders are gonna go up, or my chest is gonna go up, my lats are engaged, and I'm pulling up and down. If it gets to the reps at the end, we're not gonna do this, right? We're gonna pull up, and whatever we can't get, we're gonna get to here. If we can't get any higher, we're gonna get to here, right? We're not gonna do this at the very end. All right, now there are some exercises that are somewhat new. They're basic variations of what we've always done. Your basic low pulley cable row. Now single arm, you've probably seen myself and Eric Janicki do this the most. And I wanna make some corrections. When it comes to this exercise, and I got a pretty good enough load on here, and I'm sitting on the bench here, I'm gonna cheat myself over. I can put one foot back if I want to, or I'm gonna put a foot here. What's important is where the elbow is traveling in the end. It does not need to go all the way back behind the arm, because at that point, we're not really working the lats anymore. The lats are worked when the arm goes from here to here. That's it. Now, if we wanna get a more of a stretch in terms of your scapulas, and that's what we want with this exercise, is that the common mistake is people go like this, they're here, and they twist their entire body. Here's the reason why this doesn't make any sense for this exercise. I want you to think of both your sides of your body, both scaps that are attached to your mid and low traps, and your upper traps, but like in this case, we're talking about back, our mid and low traps, our rhomboids, rear delts and whatnot, all that area. And our spine is dividing both. We want that to stretch from the anchor point. The anchor point is gonna be from the inside or the spine area. So the middle of my back and it wrapping around is gonna stretch from here. Now, here's what I mean. I wanna make sure that my body stays straight. So I wanna make sure that my left side that's anchoring here stay straight. So when I'm stretching, it's stretching from the spine. If I keep rotating, it's no longer really stretching from the spine anymore because I'm basically doing this. I want it to pull my spine from my middle of my back. Not necessarily my spine, but you know what I'm saying. Number 1, pull the weight back. 2, sitting down. 3, here's my leverage point, my anchor point from here. 4, I'm gonna take my hand and I'm gonna push down on it so my lats are engaged at the bottom. 5, the stretch is coming from me keeping the left side of my body square to the bench while the other side stretches from that spine. I should feel my scaps really opening up while I'm still pushing down on the handles, keep my lats engaged, and then pulling in, opening up, stretching, stretching, pulling. We're basically doing the same thing as letting your shoulder do this at the top. Feet on the floor, hands gonna be anchored here for our leverage. Cheating over a bit, I'm taking this handle, I'm pushing it down the entire time it goes in. I'm gonna stare at my hand here while I'm pushing it down, while I'm keeping this side as flat or parallel to the bench as I can to create more of a stretch in my scaps. And I'm getting more lat engagement by pushing down. There's the stretch. And then pulling back only here. Let it come out, stretch, 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 pull. That's how you do this exercise. Don't over rotate. Don't let your arms come up here. Keep your space between the shoulder and the ears the entire time. Keep your chest as parallel to the bench as you can while stretching and then squeezing, pulling back only to where the arm comes parallel with the side of your body. And that's how you do this exercise the right way. Okay guys, this next mistake you need to stop. Take it from somebody who has deteriorating vertebrae. I have lower lordosis, which means I have the natural duck butt that does this. And when I was squatting before, engaging my core, what I would do is I would, before squatting, I'd have a huge belt on, whatever, tight it nice and tight. I'd either squat or deadlift, and I would let my gut hang out and push my back like this, and I would squat down and have this just hanging out, or I'd do a deadlift and be the same thing. I would put all the emphasis on arching my butt back like this and letting my core drop out. If you do that, you are in a world of hurt. So if you don't have strong enough hamstrings, strong enough glutes, strong enough erectors and core, then doing bent over barbell rows is not going to be beneficial for you at all. If you want to make this a actual optimal part of training, you're going to hinge back while pushing into your core, meaning you're gonna pretend that you have a really annoying friend that punches you in the stomach all the time. So you're always gonna have this tense. You're gonna push your butt back while it's tense. And you're gonna push it back far enough that you almost feel your hip and your stomach almost together. Not like this, but to here, right? And my core is engaged. When I grab my bar, if I'm doing a bent over row and I'm loading from the floor, I'm gonna pick it up like a deadlift. And then I'm gonna hinge down again, like I'm doing a RDL. Tight core, chest up, hinging down, back, and then parallel from here. And then from here, we're doing our row, right? And while you see me doing this, my core is extremely tight. That's keeping my lower back from getting hurt. So from here, I'm pulling up in the stretch. Do not sit down like this, have your back rolled, because that's exactly what's gonna happen to your lower back. Now, when we're doing bent over barbell rows, if you want this to be optimal, we wanna make sure that we're as parallel as we can be, because that's where we're gonna get the most amount of range of motion. The further up we go like this, the less range of motion we're gonna get. So we get this kind of stuff here. I seen the Alex Eubank video. The rows start here, then all of a sudden, halfway through the exercise, we're just doing this. We wanna be down here, stretch, pull, stretch, pull, stretch, pull, while sustaining this level of being parallel to the floor. We can come up slightly, but not to the point where we're here, because again, look at my range of motion. From here to here, there's not much compared to this. If you're gonna have this as one of your exercises, make sure that we are strong in our posterior chain, working on our core strength, our hamstring strength, and our glute strength. Once you're there, then this actually becomes a pretty good exercise. All right, guys, that is it for today's back day tutorial. These are some exercises, guys, that I hope you can take some notes from and optimize your back training as well too. pull-ups, pull-downs, bent over barbell rows, and our low pulley cable row. Take those tips, take those cues, apply them to those exercises, and they basically can be applied to the rest of your back exercises. Either way, let me know what goes in the comment section below. And guys, if you need help for your training, or if you already made it down the road and you already made some successes, but now you're kind of stuck and don't know where to go, guys, hit the link in the description below, jonntfitness.com, fill out the application, kind of 15-minute call with me, and then we'll go over your goals to see what we can achieve together. And guys, until next time, you know how it is, iron sharpens iron, progress level below your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.